This says it's 1:30. Okay, at 1:30 PM, we can come out of recess. And the first item is the museum.
So that is tab 1-36 in the general fund. And then the museum gift fund is multicolored tab 98, which would be the very last.
Bless you.
We left the vacant position as it has been in the past for next year's budget.
And on that note, the museum board's been discussing, trying to figure out how to open longer as opposed to maybe 6 months of the year, which it currently is 3 days a week of opening up March through after Christmas, 4 days a week for 4 hours a day. It's an increase of about 735 hours over, I mean, it's Bill has, it's approved for 500 hours. I'm asking for 735. It would give that employee 2 hours a week to keep up with emails, voicemails, anything that we needed in the 2 months of off season. They would have 5 hours once a week to do the extra activities like go to the bank, post office, etc. Keep the museum open 4 hours. We have a call for people that want to come down to the museum and be consistently with when we're open. And say 11 to 4, we give the people 4 hours to actually come and enjoy it. We've got a lot going on at the museum to increase the traffic and make a lot of changes. Bill was paid $12.20 an hour. We were paying, season was open less than 300 hours a year. So 200 plus hours a year were unaccounted for. We don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was turning in pay stubs. And we can apply that to keeping the museum open and people being able to make use of it more longer during the year.
So I'm sorry, Barbara. So did you say increasing it from 500 to 700?
About 735.
Oh, 35. I did 750.
750 is, I mean, we could keep it at 750. We could keep it open year round, 4 days a week.
Because all I did was take the amount that was figured and half of it, because of 500 hours to 750. So that would raise it up to a total of 10.
And if we did that, then we could actually keep it open year round, where people could actually come and count on being Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They could come in, the only day we close is like New Year's Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day. But it would give some consistency and be a better attraction for Lovelock. Be able to show off more of what we have and have some accountability. So we could actually get some things done. And we did a job description this year with the county's description, and did other duties as assigned. So there's no surprises what we expect somebody to do. And in that time frame, they could get it done. And I really think that we could make the museum really benefit and the community benefit from having an employee for that length of time.
So without figuring all the percentages, I just took half of what you put down for the total. The 6850, I put 3425 additional. That makes it 10,275 total.
So okay, you did 750 hours?
I did 750 because it was easier for me in my head
Yeah.
to split it in half rather than, and I know it won't quite be that way because of, well, workman's comp, you take it on the whole thing anyway.
So
right?
the total came to 8,000?
The total's 10,275. That's the bottom total for next year instead of 6,850.
And in addition to that, that maybe would help us out too, is that the board is seriously discussing charging in a donation admission fee. So that whoever came to the museum, it's free now, but with what we're planning to do, I think we can attract more. We can get $1 or $2 from everybody who shows up. It shouldn't be for free. It's got some, there's some outstanding things we've got there that should be able to share. And if we give them the opportunity to have it open, I think we could get some schools to come and tour us and participate. We are incorporating the fenced in area with that old equipment. We're going to incorporate that into more part of the museum. Without letting too much of a cat out of the bag, we've got to discuss museum, but we are discussing creating a town out there and adding some buildings and moving some of our items that we have cluttered into the museum out in the yard. So people will go look at Marsden House as well as go in the yard and look through everything else we have. We have a blacksmith shop that will be going in from Packard. We'll be going there at the end of, by the end of June, we'll have that done. Core Rochester is doing that move, and they're footing the bill for us. Frank Fisk is donating an old Lovelock ice house. We could put that in our yard. We're working on a 1930s railroad house that's being given to us and putting that in the yard and making it, say, a doctor's office, a dentist's office, so whatever. And using some of the things we currently have in the museum and just spreading it out and making it attractive for people to come to. So I think the possibility of making a revenue with what we're doing would offset some of that salary, but I really think that we would like to have an employee, then that would be less than 20 hours a week.
So I'm looking at the power, and the power is 450, the new figure we spent this year, and you've got 325. And the reason for that was because you didn't have the figures.
Right.
So, but we're gonna have to up that. And then for next year, the power, I don't know if 750 is gonna be enough if you're gonna
If you're
open
gonna be
longer.
open more than maybe you have to.
And that's definitely a possibility. Which, I would say to increase that,
Well, I was thinking 1,000. See, this is the problem. I'm going in the wrong direction, I know, but for next year, at least 1,000. This year for power, we're already at 450. So I don't know if you need to go back to that 600 or 660 is what you had budgeted for this year. That's only $220 more than what you've spent. So,
but I think 1,000 is probably overboard.
for next year,
Really?
I don't think
You don't
so.
think so?
Not if you're going to be open
You're gonna
more.
be open
Okay,
more.
then, yep.
But for this year, we got to at least put 660 in there. And you may not have enough then. I don't know. It's just a guess. And then the heat. Yeah, we got to go at least to 2,000 back up. That's what your standard's been.
Yeah.
You may have to, hopefully it'll get warmer soon and you won't have to.
It's set at 60 and down there today and it was not cold. So I think that just, we keep it on year round to keep the pipes from freezing anyway. So it won't be a huge change.
So if we put it back to 2,000 2,000 for this year and leave it at 2,000 for next year and we'll see what happens. And then water and sewer, that's 1,330. Right now we've spent, we only have 1,168 in this year. Last year, yeah. So you've got to be,
You won't water any more than you're doing right now. The only water you'd be doing in addition would be flushing the toilet.
Not even the water.
Because you don't water, you don't water the grass or anything any longer than what we currently do.
but I think that for this year, you're going to have to put it back to like 1,900 at least. And then 2,000 for next year and see what happens. And then phone, 223. 5. I don't know. Do you think 500 would be enough or do we need to go 600?
It was 610
For-
in 2019.
Yeah,
645 last year.
yeah. So 650? Okay. And then office supplies,
Like to bump that up. We cut it back from last year because of the budget cuts we needed to make. We are needing to buy a flat screen TV and a DVR, VHS. We have some tapes and stuff that we'd like to put a TV on the wall instead of the antique TV we have, so that all those tapes that we have for Lovelock history could be played in a loop.
is that something that the museum gift fund could handle? We're not there yet, so could we talk about that when we get to the museum gift fund?
Okay.
But under office supplies, are you gonna purchase anything more this year between now and June 30th?
No,
Okay, so we can leave it, does it need to be 47 instead of 46? It's, because it goes, yeah, okay.
Sometimes we round up, sometimes we round.
So then office supplies for next year, 100? Depending
yeah, depending
on where
yeah.
we take the
Yeah.
other stuff.
Yeah,
And-
we're finding some things stuck in spots that we probably won't have to purchase anything, so.
And then computer supplies for next year, you put 55. So do you want to go to the museum gift fund?
Yeah, I don't think next year, because what we're doing this year will be out of this year's budget, so I don't think we'll need anything for next year. Anything more.
Well, you've got computer supplies, $55
Yeah.
for next year. That'll cover a little bit of ink or something.
Yeah, and that's probably about all we would need to do is cover some make. Justin's gonna look at what we currently have and see if we need to order any of that supply. We may have to throw our supply out and order new. I won't know anything from that for tomorrow.
Well, let's see. Reen, would a computer, TV and what else
It's a
did you
TV and
say?
a DVR.
A DVR, would that be under small equipment? So, yeah, so right now, under miscellaneous services, you lowered it to 500.
Oh, just a second, okay. But just thank you.
Oh, that's okay. Under miscellaneous services and supplies for this year, you lowered it to 500, which just covers what you've already spent. Then under small equipment, a DVR and a TV, how much?
Probably, I'm thinking probably 600 maybe,
Justin,
Justin. If we were looking for like a 32-inch flat screen, wall mounted and the DVR VHS player.
Our VHS player.
DVD, sorry.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, DVD, sorry. Whatever one of those the initials are.
And the 32 inch you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could do, I think 600 would be good.
So then my question is whether you would want to buy it before June 30th or after July 1.
if you have the money before June 30th, then
But you said you have VHS.
I can't hear you.
You said you have VHS that you want to play on the loop.
We've got some VHS. I'd like to see them digitalized. And I just have to find somebody that can do that or the
I
high
would
school.
strongly recommend digitizing VHS.
That's what I think to do,
And
yeah.
then putting the actual cassettes in like some sort of fine controlled storage.
Okay. Well, that's what we were kind of thinking. So I didn't know if we want to do the slash or whatever. I think maybe the high school in their technology department could probably handle doing that for us.
Remember to ask.
Yeah, so see what we could do because we have quite a few that would be nice to finally make use of them.
And if you do, you also want to be very copyright too. Let me do some.
Yeah, I don't know anything really about them other than that we have them. I've never seen one played.
Tomorrow when I'm over there, I'll like snap pictures of them, so I
Okay.
can
see, because if we can get DVD versions or we can get digital versions, then you wouldn't have to worry about copyright from.
And I understand some of them are locally produced, so.
If the copyright is owned by the museum, then you can do whatever you want.
I'd be happy to show you that, but I usually think like $600 for that. And I would say if we could purchase them this year, we should purchase them this year.
So you could put it in this year's budget.
Yeah.
And then, so 600.
Yep.
And then next year, well, but there's capital outlay. So as long as we don't go over the budget, right? Yeah. So next year, are you going to need anything else that you would want? Because right now you have nothing in there.
Yeah. I don't think so. Justin's got another computer for us already, so that's covered. I don't see us needing anything else. This would just be, this TV and stuff would replace the antiquated equipment that we have.
Okay.
I didn't know they still had TVs like that.
So where would paint fall under?
That would, well, yeah, but if you're gonna get it painted, it's a
Yeah.
whole thing because it's, unless you're painting
Not
it
the whole
yourself.
thing, but like what I'm thinking of is that shed
Oh,
that they just dumped out
yeah.
and maybe the
Oh, yeah,
other building, something
If,
like.
if you guys are gonna paint it yourself, I'm not saying.
right,
And
right.
just purchase the paint, then that does come under, I would think, miscellaneous
Yeah.
supplies. And, but if you're paying
We're not gonna
somebody,
pay somebody because they're
No.
they're small. That shed's is like 8 by.
so is that happening this year or next year?
That will happen this year.
So instead of $500, how much painting are you gonna do? Because there's more things that,
That'll be one building, probably a total of probably less than 5 gallons of paint.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
a couple $100 for
it's
paint.
not a lot of paint.
So your 500 would probably cover it then.
We've already spent 494. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So it needs to be 1,000 for this year?
Oh, you already spent 500.
Yeah, so you need to make it 1,000 for this year.
Yeah.
And then under capital outlay, you budgeted last year 35,900. Those were for the painting projects, the windows. and
Yeah,
things.
right.
Is any of that going to happen
This year?
this year?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so right now you have nothing, so it means you can't do any of those things
Mhm.
till after June.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
We're not gonna do anything.
okay.
No.
And on the computer that I'm putting out there for them, it's something that it was in my inventory, so it doesn't match. We're not-
And the monitor they have is okay and
It's
everything?
it's an all.
Oh, great.
So, yeah,
Okay.
Everything.
Okay, that's awesome. So that would help a lot if you can just get the TV and the VCR out of this.
Yeah, okay, so we can look at that.
Yeah.
And that's not an issue getting that started.
Anyway, I think it's great. You guys are
Yep.
doing a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing it spruced up.
It's going to be really spruced up and say the
And
plant,
Penny and Bonnie are great painters. They did the
Penny
depot.
especially.
Well, yeah, but they did the depot. I love the colors.
the little gray shed that we are moving to make room for the blacksmith shop is, I had a dream in the middle of the night and the board likes this, so making it a one-room schoolhouse.
Mhm.
Put it out in the yard, paint it red with white trim.
And we gotta
Make our
find a
school
bell.
desks and some of our, to make it in, we have the things to put in it, so it's just a matter of, the moving will happen by the end of the month, the shed.
That's
Once we
awesome.
get it
So I
shed.
just want to make sure I'm understanding
Okay.
this, the volunteers or board members of the museum will be doing the painting.
Yep,
And there'll be no fee for that.
correct.
Okay.
Other than the
Only
paint.
asking because we
Correct.
are lacking W-9s and you have to have a certificate of insurability
No,
if you have someone do it for you.
we're not having
And
anybody
those
do
are
it.
two things in our new system that we can't process anything until we have all of that information in
Okay.
the system.
No, this is,
Because it
this,
messes up our 1099s.
Right. no, this will be strictly board members and volunteers. The work on the cement work on the pad for the blacksmith shop is county to county. And that's, Buildings and Grounds is gonna do the pad. That was supposed to have been handled by John Shank.
What? Not John. Shank.
John Hanka, John Shank, John Hanka, sorry.
You
My
did?
my husband knows nothing about that.
John Hanka, road department is moving the shed.
Is the road department gonna back charge you for that? Because he is known for doing a.
And if he, yeah, and
The
if he
road
does,
department, he did not say, Dan did not say that, but I can find out. He said it would be a real simple move. It's going as a matter of less than 50 feet.
because if they are gonna charge, then Reen will need to know right away to put it. in the
I
budget.
will get a hold of Mr. Hill and find out.
You're a good talker. You can talk him out of it.
I will work on it.
It's his bottom line now.
Yeah, his bottom line's not.
Yeah, when he looked at it today, he didn't think that it'd be that much of an issue to move that and get it placed.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve's here.
Does she need those back?
Do you
Multi-colored
need
tab, 7.
Ring, do you need these copies?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara.
Thank you. We're really excited, I'll tell you.
Well, you have a good group, an active group.
A very active.
Hi, Mr. Foster.
Hi, Steve. Justin, I'll see you tomorrow.
Alrighty, see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Larry, I'll see you later.
I think so.
Here's your fresh copy and there's rulers, pencils, whatever you want.
Who knows?
I saw one from a yard sale and I thought about getting it.
Waiting for it.
I just thought that, oh, I've got a chair facing that way. I can use a chair someplace else. Put some yellow caution.
Yeah.
I just-
Okay. Worry about it.
Damaging equipment.
So I've been explaining to them, Steve, I don't have the final tax revenue amounts yet from this state. I don't get those until March 25th. So I'm projecting next year's revenue to be the same as this year's tax revenue.
That might have been what I put in, but
It won't be negative.
just to get you guys up to date, there's a lot. This new, well, I think the last 2 years extension now requires that the budget that I submit gets approved by them and then they send it back to you,
Oh,
which has made it very confusing because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other thing, I got their final thing last night at 4:30. And there's still some things wrong, but just to kind of get you up to date, with the 12% governor's cut, our administration, I guess Bill Payne and Ivory Lyles, their, I guess, plan is to cut all tenure track extension educators 15% starting July.
Whoa.
And then we can either make that money up with grants or the counties do it. And I'm not going to ask you guys to do it because the biggest problem we have, this is an email from Brad Schultz. We've been kind of going around. I don't expect you to read it all now, but I'll just point out the problems with extension budgeting is that basically back a few years when we had the cuts, someone decided that the state only had to match federal monies for funding of extension and
I thought it was all the same.
yeah, that we combine federal, state and county monies. That's why it's called cooperative, but the counties have been picking up the majority of that. And so in 2011 through 13, we took a 70% cut when our now president of the university was governor. And then since then, no one's put that money back to us. And this year, we're about 2.9 million. And when I came here, we were at 9.9 million budget. Now we're down to 2.9. They think next year will be 3.9. Next year will be about 3.4 million, but so we're down to nothing. And they keep expecting the counties to pick up the difference. And really, it's a state program. And so someone probably, whoever your NACO representative, you can share this. I don't think Brad cares, or just leave his name out of it, but someone needs to step
I'll
up.
talk
and-
to NACO about it. Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at on all this, is why we keep going down in funding. We have hiring freezes, but they keep hiring more people through county monies, especially Clark County, because they mismanage their funds. Had like that $12-13 million carryover. And so, and then this time they wanted us to ask the counties to help fund a 4-H position, livestock position. And ours wouldn't have been that much, but I told them we weren't going to do that. And because one, we didn't need it, and two, probably wouldn't get any benefit out of it. So that's what they're doing. They just keep going back to county, wanting more and more money. So I just wanted to get that out here before we got going.
Well,
on
they
something.
cut extension, but they take more for other programs at UNR and stuff too.
Right.
I mean, yours is going down, but they're putting money
Yeah.
into other things.
Yeah. So I've been here 12 years now, and this will be the 6 out of 12 years I've had a pay cut. 1 year, no raise.
Yeah.
And once they start taking funds out of education, it never goes back.
That's correct.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened. here.
However, when they're talking about budgeting in the legislature, it's all for education. We're going to raise this tax for education, and then they don't
You
give
work
it to
for the
education.
school district.
Yeah.
You know that.
I know.
It's like the marijuana funds that were supposed to go to education that aren't going to education.
And we don't know where the stimulus money, if that's going. And really, we're questioning whether they can legally just reduce the pay of just a certain sector of extension and not across the board. So, yeah, if you were hired here lately and you're just an extension non-faculty administrator in the other counties, you don't get cut. You're not getting cut. It's just the tenure track people that's getting cut. But one other thing is I have some grants. So they pay for part of my salary through that. So I won't be too bad on that as long as I get these grants renewed and stuff. So I just want to bring that up for get going. Last night that they approved, but somehow they think they're in charge of Dixie.
They're not.
No, they don't pay anything. I told them, you guys pay whatever salary you get. So that's off. There was an adjustment to what Colby makes, and they gave me the wrong number before, and then they corrected it. It's pretty close, but I've got those in.
Well, they have for Colby 0.4 of a
That's-
full-time, but we're paying 37.5%. So they're picking up the difference, right? To make her full-time.
Yeah.
And I can't do that in my head right now.
So actually, they funded her to
760.
75%, and then the grant she
Yeah.
has makes her 100%.
Okay.
The SNAP grant, the nutrition thing. So yeah, it gets pretty confusing after one. I think that's it.
So it looks really strange, though. They have Colby down with 15,326 and you is $84.
That's what the county pays, yeah.
Oh, that's what we pay.
And I think normally mine, you would pay 100 and some. So I think they took that 15%. I cut my pay out of that, but it's not a big difference there. But
So what do they show for next year that's going to be billed?
you gotta subtract off. I might have gave somebody mine, but you gotta subtract off Dixie's stuff here. So it's just this number and this number added up. Comes out to $22,058. I think we had 21,000 something.
Yeah, we had 21,625.
Yeah,
But now it's going to be the 22.
that's what they told me.
So that's Colby's Fringe and Colby salary added together.
And the 84 for me. I'm not sure what that $84 is for. I don't know why the county pays that fine.
I must have got you a copy.
We just
Yeah,
pay whatever they bill us, you know, quarterly, if you guys do the voucher.
Here, Larry, I'll trade you. I might have some notes on there. I don't know if I do. I knew I had that one. Yeah.
And then what's on the back here is what they're gonna pay.
That's what they approved that you guys could spend. We'll get to that too here in a little
Yeah,
bit.
okay, but this, okay, got it, that we could spend. huh?
What you want to talk about now? The truck. You want to talk about the truck now?
Go for it.
Okay. So last year you approved it, use the carryover money to buy a new vehicle, so we get away from paying them mileage.
Mhm.
That's
Because
right.
basically you're buying a vehicle that the university owns.
Yes,
Okay, so when they found out that I did that, or we did that, and they go, where does funds come from? I said, from carryover. They said, well, you can't do that without our approval, because that's our money. So we don't know where we're at right now, but the truck's coming this month.
Well, how can it be their money when we're the ones paying?
They say as soon as it goes into this budget, it's their money. Now, what I would ask if they try to say something is, they haven't paid them for administration of their money, the county. So I would push back there saying, if this is your money and we administer it,
Yeah.
just like your grant's taking half of your grant,
Right.
we're gonna charge you a fee to administer your money. And that's what I would say.
so you're saying that because we put 28,970 in for a vehicle, that we put it in the budget for you to purchase, they're now saying it's their money
They said they should have approved that.
because it's their
Not as
money.
their money, but they should have approved it.
But
Yeah, but it's still their money.
it's still their money, so the vehicle is still theirs?
Well, they
That's what
they don't know right now. But what might happen is saying, well, it's still ours. And we do have some funds for your mileage you've been paying. In,
Well,
and we would just be back where it was. Again,
Okay,
which
but
is-
we haven't paid for it yet.
No.
So when it comes in and we pay the bill, we'll put the money somewhere else. We'll pay the bill from somewhere else. So,
Can
and
you
not
transfer
take
out of
it,
this?
and take it,
You
Well,
can't transfer.
not transfer out, but just take it, not pay it, just put it to zero for this year.
You could.
I'm not gonna
And we can
pay.
share this vehicle. I mean, it's county
No,
vehicle.
I'm just simply saying
You would already
paperwork
pay for
wise,
it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
to heck with them. We're not gonna put 29,000 in and they own the vehicle.
I know. I know. So.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they are unscrupulous.
And I said, well, if administrator would ever come out here and explain all this stuff, maybe we know it, but they don't think it all through either. But, yeah, that's the thing on the vehicle.
No, I think we need to add a line item for administrative costs. And I'm serious. We have one now for rent expense, but
You can just call it PC admin costs because we
Yes.
get that from the WIC grant, the
Mm-hmm.
FRC grant, the senior center
Yep.
grants.
and
Pershing
this,
County Electrical Utilities.
yep. I don't know yet what amount, think about it, but,
What can the university afford?
well, it's,
Well, how, it works-
well, actually.
you
what-
probably don't know how the old program, basically we have a vehicle and every time we drive it, we pay the university mileage. And they keep that in a fund so that after a few years, you can buy a new vehicle plus the trade-in. Well, since I've been here, we've never put enough mileage on it to pay for the value of a new vehicle. And it comes down to the county's paying for that vehicle, but it's titled to the university and they have complete control over it. And it's really your money.
But
So-
all we would be doing is a journal entry for whatever our admin costs are. And it would just come off of the ending fund balance, which is collected in tax, but it would help out Reams. It would help the
Come
general
back to the
fund,
general
It would help the general fund.
Because that's where the work expense is credited. to,
Yeah.
is the general.
Yeah.
So if they ask me where this,
Getting them to pay that.
Well,
Probably.
it's not so much them paying it, we're taking it off the ending fund balance here.
But like Steve said, they have to approve what
They
you
have to,
submit.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're having to approve this.
But that's where we're in the problem with the vehicle, because they didn't approve it.
Well, then we're not gonna buy it out of that fund. It'll be at zero. But then they're gonna want money for a vehicle, to buy a vehicle for you, aren't they?
no, we'll quit paying that mileage. That's why I
Okay.
didn't budget that.
So
in
we'll
there.
quit paying, and you can, and technically you can say it's coming out of the county's carpool or
If they ask me
whatever.
now, I'll just say it's coming out of the general fund or.
Please, the county
But
fleet.
we're gonna have to. pay.
How are we gonna pay for it?
Yeah, you
If
gotta
we're
have
not
money.
paying for it out of here, where are we gonna take it out of?
Yeah, I know. Well, I know that. I know what you're saying, but I don't know what the end thing's gonna be. But if we can do it, that's what we need to do. I don't want them to own another vehicle. No, I know exactly what, because our ending fund balance is so low.
Yeah, we have nowhere else to take that $30,000.
When you did the law enforcement, that didn't come off the ending
All we
fund
did
balance?
for what, law enforcement today, you mean?
No. What, on our general fund carryover? I have to look. Did you include the law enforcement in it?
It's got the transfers to law enforcement.
Okay, all right. So,
As an expense.
okay.
We could just do it, keep going and then just ask forgiveness and see what falls out.
Well, we'll see what happens here.
And if
but-
it comes down, you can tell them, then the battle would be, it's our money, your money, and then you can say, well, you haven't paid administrative costs for managing your money. It'll be $30,000.
No, I think we need to put it in the budget.
Cover the vehicle there, $30,000 of how many years of no administrative costs being covered.
Yeah, forever.
We can argue the point, but that doesn't mean we'll win
No.
because they do what they want to do. But
But remember,
okay,
you guys are the bosses over them. They may think they are, but you actually have the power over them.
University and Board of Regents do what they want to do, and it doesn't matter.
mhm, they do. So can we go start through the
Yeah.
budget here?
Yeah,
So this year's budget was 35,000 for salaries and benefits, and next year you have 62,000. I'm looking at that right?
Increasing Dixie to full-time.
Are you following me?
This is
Okay.
just the top part here.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
This is what the current
Okay.
budget is right now.
okay,
This is what we
This was,
anticipate to
Yeah.
spend, and this is next year's.
okay. I put in because of Dixie, ever since I've been here, we've had 100% secretary. And then a few years ago, we agreed to share with the community center. And now that she's done over there, I'd like to bring her back full time. Now, that'll be lower by about $9,000 because she doesn't need insurance. She's on Medicare.
But if for some reason during the year she
She quits.
decides to retire,
Yeah.
we're gonna have another employee that's gonna need that.
Right, but we won't hire them in at her salary.
But, okay, I have Medicare,
Mhm.
but the county's insurance is my primary. I have to pay half, my portion of it
Yeah.
because we're only considered part-time. But I pay my portion, but Hometown Health is my primary and Medicare is the secondary. So she's not going to take any insurance at all
She
and
said
just
not
go
to.
with the Medicare?
Yeah,
That's not a very wise move.
I don't know, maybe Jack has some or something.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And it's none of my business. But we used to have that position as half-time though.
Only when we agreed to share that with the community center.
But we only did that the last year or so.
Yeah, before that, we always had, one time when I first started, we had 2 secretaries for full-time. One worked in the morning, one in the afternoon. Dixie was full-time up until we split it.
But you didn't have a full-time 4-H person. And you have a full-time 4-H
Yeah,
person now.
we used to have a full-time 4-H person. all
So
the
how
time.
much work is there for her to do?
Well, the biggest thing is answering the phones. Because she's not there, then I end up answering the
Yeah.
phones. And I'm getting paid quite a bit to answer phones.
You don't have time to answer.
Yeah,
That's a lot to pay to answer phones when you put an answer.
well, she's got other things, and actually her work as load has increased since since Colby's been there. Because she's expanded the program quite a bit.
I don't know that there's full-time work there, is what
Well, there
I'm,
was for about 8 years.
I don't remember it
Mary
being,
Ann, when she was there, was 3/4 time. Mary Ann Papa.
Yeah,
She
she
was
was person,
three-quarter,
she was
yeah.
3/4, and then Rebecca was 3/4. It wasn't until Joshua came on that we went to full-time
right,
because of this grant thing.
Mhm.
right. But we're talking 4-H. I'm talking
And
about the
secretary,
clerical
I don't-
position. It used to be
Mary Ann's
half-time
right.
because Kirsten Hertz was there.
She was the
4-H.
4-H person.
Oh, she was 4-H, okay.
She was full-time.
So who
Who
was the,
secretary?
yeah, who was the
The only
secretary?
person that.
When I
worked
first
there
came, it was
Christy Luna. was
Karen and
there.
Christy together.
and they were full-time.
Yeah. And then Christy left and we hired Karen full-time. And then Karen left, and that's when we hired Dixie full-time.
But you didn't have a full-time 4-H person,
Yeah,
you know?
we only went partly when they had the budget cuts, and we went when Mary Ann was still there, and then they cut her back a little bit. And then now, and so that was clear back Mary Ann. So they cut her back. That's, what was it, like 75% or something like that, I remember. But yeah, up till then, and then like we said, when Josh came, we got it full-time with the grant, and then Colby's full-time. And we actually had funds available to start her up next month, full-time, because we didn't have 4-H person for 6 months this year. And we didn't pay remittance to the government for that.
You still had it in your budget.
Mhm.
You'll have to get that on the agenda for approval. Because it was budgeted that way,
Okay.
to change somebody from half-time to full-time this year.
Mhm.
And we'll have to, approve it or not, but I'm looking at it that there's not, that there is a need for a full-time person.
The other governments too, we only budgeted 21,652, and we're projecting to spend 19,672. So there's only $2,000 difference there.
For this year, there should be a bigger difference in that. Because we didn't pay for 6 months. We didn't get Colby till
We've
June or
already
July,
spent
July.
Yeah.
500. And I can't remember if that was the second quarter bill or not.
See, if you look at the budget for this year, there was 35,000 and some put in for salary and benefits. The projection for this year is 31,256. And next year you have 62. And then if you look down at the bottom for services and supplies, you budgeted 43 and you've spent 22, and you're projecting 42, almost 43 again. So there's no wiggle room in there at all for services and supplies.
Right. But I'm saying, I don't think we're going to be spending 19,600 on remittance to government this year, because we only had a person here half-time. And we had budgeted 21,000.
And is it working to look it
It's
up?
just slow. Okay, we've paid for 2 quarters on them.
So we got 2 more to go.
We paid $4,776.70, and for the period of July through September, $4,691.86 for the period of October through December.
That's right, because fiscal year was started in July.
So we have this
Yeah,
third quarter that ends the end of this month.
You're right.
Plus 1 more quarter after that.
Yeah, you're right.
So if you take, say, 4,800.
No, you're probably right, because the fiscal year, I was thinking January.
You're looking at about 19,200 if you just take a rough 4,800 times 4
Yeah.
quarters.
So we may not have those funds available.
Yeah, because that last payment we didn't make until February
Yeah.
3rd, so
Yeah.
it was like 6 weeks after the cutoff time.
Right. So that probably, I miscalculated on it, so we wouldn't have the funds for that. And if we had up-to-date phones, might help.
Yeah.
Ones that people can leave a message on, or caller ID,
Oh,
or.
yeah.
Well, we're gonna get a new phone system next fiscal year.
Steve, if you could shoot me, know what town. Then I can put that in my budget.
All right.
There are no answering machines.
We have an old little tape recorder one. Probably 1980s.
Well, they don't cost that much to get a new one.
Wow. There's a lot of
And see,
antique
the new
equipment.
phone system, we've only budgeted
Uh-huh. I know.
And every vendor I've talked to so far has said, oh, yeah, we'll be way less.
That's good then.
That's a plus.
Yeah,
A lot.
and I've told every single one of them that price has to include any equipment that would have to be purchased. So that's the whole project cannot exceed that.
But yeah, we had phones where, someone calls and they push a button, it goes directly to your line. And then if you're not there, they can leave a voicemail. Then you could reduce a lot of that.
Well, and, I'll get into that. That's.
So under small equipment, you've got laptop computer, 2 laptop computers.
Yeah, the university says we have to change our server there.
Yeah.
And they also said that my computer and Dixie's are out of warranty and old, so we need 2 of those, but I'm hopefully going to retire here in about 2.5 years,
You've had enough of this?
and I might not make it that long. So
It looks real good to see.
if we really
from
have
your
to
house.
crunch, I could probably go another 2 years with mine. I mean.
Well, the money's there. It's not
Yeah.
a problem,
Yeah. It stays when I leave, so.
Yeah. No, there, you have money that you could do it. That's not an issue.
Now, they were talking about there may be some grants available to help the cost of that router server thing. So, but no one got back to me on that.
Yeah, but you have a sufficient carryover
Yeah.
that you don't have.
They wanted us to pay in to upgrade our video conferencing thing.
Do you still use that with Zoom?
Not hardly at all. And
Yeah.
we just upgraded like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But they got a grant. They want.
Oh, speaking of.
But I told them we weren't going to do that.
Okay, speaking of which, we need to talk to you about this. Obviously, Dixie's not doing or gonna be doing the community center
Mhm.
part. We've got to look, where are we gonna put that person? And probably the best part is back in the mechanical room. I mean, that is a decision that has to be made, but we may have to move some of the emergency operations stuff to that star room, the back
Mhm.
one. Do you have any issues with that? Okay.
Not bad. Other than hear each other talk through the door.
Okay,
Tell them to be quiet.
Yeah, like I
Well-
said, we're not using that video conference hardly anymore with the Zoom, and we can move that TV. We've mainly been using that, people just plug their computer into it for on
Uh-huh.
screens, what we've been using it for. So-
Yeah, with Zoom, it's made
Yeah.
it so much easier than the teleconferencing we used to do. My gosh.
So I don't even know why they wanted to do that, but I told them we didn't want it.
So what do you guys want to do about Dixie going full-time next year?
Why not?
Well, if she's going full-time for this year, that's got to be on the agenda.
Yeah, we won't, I
And
don't
he's
think we
not
have the
gonna,
funds for that.
he doesn't have
No.
the funds for that.
No.
But for next year, usually don't we put it in when we do the budget? That's when we do those things. So, and when do you have to have this back to them for their approval?
They're done.
No. They're already done.
Well, actually, you don't have to because Dixie's not under them anyway.
No,
Yeah.
they were trying to think they were, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I see
that's
that
how they don't know what's going on.
early.
So are we leaving the vehicle expense in for this year? Or are we taking that out and adding PC admin costs?
Well, we need to put in PC admin costs, whatever we can eke out, but,
I don't think we can take it out. We've worked with the vehicle.
well, yeah, but
And
we,
it's supposed to be here, what, in a couple
Yeah, it's
of
shipped, they
months or
said.
so?
I just emailed them this week and it said it's shipped already.
so when will you have an answer from them about the vehicle, or will you?
Well, I talked to the one administrative person this morning and they said, well, we don't know. He said, we don't know.
I think Bryce probably needs to be involved with that.
Could be, yeah.
Well, I mean, for right now, we can leave it in, but if we can figure out a way, if
Well,
they
on the
come back.
PC admin costs like on the grants, on the WIC grant, it's 10% of the monthly salaries. The family resource grant, it's 8% of all of their costs on a monthly basis. I don't know.
And I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff, but I don't know that we can charge admin costs. This would be just like us collecting the water for the water, state water. We collect the water tax for them and we don't get anything. We're collecting this tax for,
Yeah. I don't know if it's legal or not, but that's what I would tell them.
it's a great idea,
Yeah.
but I don't think we can do it.
Okay, but we can find out. Okay. And could have just do it for next year anyway, if we did do it.
But I don't think, even though they claim that's their money, I don't think they can take it. They can't take it out of the county. It's got to be spent here in the county.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, well, other than they'll say it's their vehicles.
Yeah, because it's our county's tax money.
Right,
And if we didn't have ag extension, then we would be collecting that tax.
right. Yep.
Are you trying to get me on the screen?
Oh, I can see you. Lacey, I can see you right there.
Just Google through Karen.
I was just sitting over here. My book is here.
So I think the change is the remittance letter governance to that from 21,625 to 22,058. That's the 37.5% of the 4-H position
Oh, okay.
with their revision that we just.
And
Yeah,
Please.
because that just has to be changed. Yeah,
Yeah, 40% for
has to be changed for, yeah. That's the only thing I can think of. But, and that's the only one that we have. For you, just this one, right? This budget. Yeah.
Earl, when you were in your meeting, we roughly went over the cemetery budget. I didn't know if you had any concerns or it's just one back.
Yeah, it's, actually, I sat down and did that one with her. So I don't know that I have any. She's been doing an awesome job collecting funds, for the plots.
Yeah.
She's been selling quite a few. And
But
she
I
does,
dropped it back for next year because you never know if a lot of people think this year.
oh, yeah, no, the revenue, you can always have more revenue, just no more expenses, so.
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay, well, I'll keep you updated on the vehicle.
Okay,
And
please.
you could have that.
Definitely. Okay. And other than that, that's about it.
Good job. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, so Wayne's gonna make her smart remark.
Well, wait, I didn't make any remarks because we're on record, we're live. Mhm. I'm sure we do. So which is the next one?
The next one.
So you don't have any questions on 17?
No, if you guys were okay with it.
You could go to number 12, which is ad valorem.
Oh,
And this is the one where I'm proposing that all the software expenses that have been paid out of the building fund start coming here because this is a tax revenue based. And that's where it used to come from when we paid the AS 400 stuff. Justin has put, you'll see his capital outlay request. He's got some 365 renewal license stuff, an annual payment, and an antivirus annual renewal. But I am penciled into his outlay for software enhancements.
You don't have that.
we don't have the backup for the wait.
I'm sorry. let me get it.
You're fine. We need a break anyway.
I'll be right back.
I need a break. Karen, Jessica Sanders is going to get back to me tomorrow on that CDBG stuff. I asked her, what do I need to do now? She says I have to go into Zoom. So I did that. I logged, created an account under me and did that. And then there's eligibility that has to be completed first. But I know that you're one of the authorized, I don't know what to call you, authorized agents or whatever for CD. I don't know. And so I'm going to ask her.
Yeah.
If you just have to okay it at the end, I mean, I don't know, so. And I'm looking at it and going, but I will have her walk me through it, but I might need a few things from you, depending.
Talking about the eligibility as far as us doing public hearings, we met that.
Right.
Eligibility about meeting the 51%.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with what we intend on doing, what the project is, and then they want to pre-approve the project before they do it, let us do application. So that's my understanding.
$63,000.
No, it's only 39,000. Sorry, I wish it was more. If it was more, then, I'm talking about CDBG, and I was talking to Karen about what I have to do for that, and I might need her help. Oops, I
So
choose
just
the wrong
really
one.
quick, under the software enhancements, I figured out some numbers. DevNet annually was paying almost 57,000. Encode, that's the financials, we're paying about 21.5. Tyler Ingram reporting, we're paying 28.5. The voting election stuff with Lacey's under a couple different vendors is about 20,500 a year. And this is the part I don't know, the DA and sheriff, they purchased that part call software. I don't know what their annual fee is. But we spent almost 40,000 on that purchase this current. So that's where I'm suggesting at least 200,000 be added as an expense in this fund.
Where were you gonna add it? Yeah, ad valorem number,
Yeah, number 12, it would be under the capital outlay, because that's where they had the auditors and all that.
Oh, okay.
So I put a grand total of 386,000 in there, which should give Justin everything he's requested.
And then the 80,000 for this year is gonna cover everything for this year? Because you budgeted 246, but
Yeah, I think it was kind of a safety net there. Is there more, Justin, that you're gonna be spending?
Well,
I think we talked about it, and thought there would be at least enough in there with 80,000. I thought you told me something like 60,000.
So
I think if there were anything else that was going to go in this, it would be dependent on what we decide to do for expanding the IT department. So like if we were to hire a managed service provider, then I might be, well, that's not gonna affect us for another year. Before I can cancel that. I think that should actually cover anything that I have on my side.
Now, is it dark? Ted?
Dark
Dark
trace.
Trace, sorry, dark trace.
They would need to go into here as well.
Yeah.
And that's, 21.
And Justin, wasn't that, there was the 21,000, but then there was.
21,800 and change.
Right.
That was for a year, right?
So
You would
1
sign
year.
up.
And, but then there's a 6,000 annual after that?
Yes.
It's right, it's close to that. I don't remember what the exact number is.
So if you don't think the 80,000 is enough for this year, we've already spent 44,500 roughly.
Well, like the dark trace, that's not gonna come out this year.
It would be after July.
It'll be after July 1.
But he
That
has
was,
to
that was
know,
part of those aggressive negotiations we were talking about.
We have to know in the
We
next,
have to know by the 26th. in
right,
order
so
to
we
get
need to
the
know
funds.
now.
Right.
But, yeah, and then they're gonna defer cost until July 1.
So for next year, we have 386,000 in the budget right now. And on the breakdown I just gave you, it comes to a total of 250. So we have 100,000 cushion in there.
What do we have for emergency?
Well, it would be part of that 100,000.
Okay. In that case, I think that amount for next year, since it also covers emergency, I think that would be, I think that's okay. I don't anticipate spending anything else out of capital outlay this year.
This year.
Right.
So what I'm gonna do, Justin, is we have 386. 386 minus 250. I'm gonna put 136,000 down as emergencies.
Okay.
So then that will make this new total come up to the 386. Because your typed in amount was close to 30,000, so, and then the software is 200
Mhm.
plus emergencies,
So it was 186,000 for emergency.
136 for a grand total of 386. As long as nothing comes up over the 80,000 that we're anticipating for this year. we should be okay.
And of course, when we actually start going over my budget, that.
So is that all of the software that we're paying?
all the software service
Well,
agreement.
there is nothing for Cassell yet, which James will be using for planning and building. I don't believe we paid anything yet. There was nothing in the building fund detail,
Mhm.
so I don't know how much that's gonna be. Currently, we're at about 168,000 being spent.
On the
So
software alone?
there's a little bit left for the Cassell stuff. And if he gets that before the end of June, it'll still come out of the building fund. You know, when his,
I don't know when his billing starts, but I think they have the software. Right. think they've been working on getting it all set up.
So maybe I need to find that out from James if he knows what an annual fee.
Well, he should know. I mean,
I would
he should
hope
have a
so.
quote or something from
A
him.
contract.
Well, and I know it came before the board. I remember the.
Yeah, but that was quite a while
That
ago.
was a while ago. And I've worked with Cassell on getting them information on stuff. So they were at least, even before the beginning of the calendar year, they were into configuration and deployment.
So do you think that gives you enough of a cushion?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I said, the budget I submitted, I pared everything back to basically just, I've got one project that I'm doing next year. Everything else is just maintaining what we have.
Okay.
I think Justin is up next, right?
Oh, God.
I mean, we can,
No, we need to do it while I'm still alive. Still have some breath in me.
So are we giving Justin approval to go with dark trace?
Well, we can't approve, it has to be on the board,
But he has to have something by next week.
so we have to have a special meeting.
And that is,
Well, we need to call one, and then wasn't there something else that needed to be on a special meeting? I can't remember.
I have a feeling we're going to, well, you said by next week.
by the 26th, we need to get.
So the
them.
sheriff's coming back Monday with the revision, but I almost can guarantee you we're going to have a couple more meetings.
Oh,
One
sure,
more after that. one.
yeah.
And if, I would prefer if we don't do it until after March 25th, maybe that last week of March sometime, because I'd really like to get the tax revenue in and refigure things.
Well, if we were to do a special meeting with the soonest would be the 24th or the 25th. And I don't know when your schedules are. Because you'd have to post it tomorrow.
But this meeting would be just for his dark trace.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That would be budget. Yeah, I'm sorry. Never mind. Dark trace.
well, didn't we schedule? Didn't we say something about a special meeting concerning dark trace?
We did, but we didn't set one.
Oh,
If you did an agenda and posted it tomorrow, we could have a meeting Wednesday. Am I right with my dates? Yeah. And if that's the only thing we had on the agenda, it shouldn't be that. I'm okay, but I don't know about the rest.
I'm
of
okay
you.
the 24th.
Okay, are you, what are you?
tell me what time I'll move appointments.
Well, what time is your first appointment?
Because it's only gonna take 5 seconds.
Yeah, what time is your
I
first appointment?
usually don't start scheduling appointments until 8:30, 9 o'clock. Or if I have,
Do you want to let Karen know?
just go ahead and schedule it for 8:30 and if I have a 9 o'clock or something, I'll just move the appointment to a
Well,
later.
we can do it for 8. We'll be done in 15 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
Okay, you'd be done by 8:15, if not sooner.
We've gone all over all the information.
Yeah,
It's
we just need to make the
formal
official,
approval.
yeah.
It's all right. I would rather do it at 8:30.
Oh.
I'll be short staffed that day. And I would like to at least make sure my office is open.
Sorry, Lacey.
You'll let me know what time and
So
I'll be here.
8:30 would be. 8:30 fine. Or even 8:15 if you guys want to do that. I just need to make sure my office.
Is 8:15 okay?
Yeah, that would be-
So let's do 8:15 and then we'll be done. And you can, if you had them at 8:30, You can still make it. I mean,
Or I can leave here and go check my appointment book and let you know. Okay,
So all it is, Justin, is approval of what we have on the agenda.
Yeah, you could probably even just copy and paste what you have on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, so Justin is.
Obviously, you're not
tab
making a
one.
motion, but you guys probably should decide. I mean, that's the same with
For the,
if they want to look at doing the dark trees thing. You need to put.
I thought we made sure that there was enough money
in Fund 12.
in the ad valorem. Yeah, yeah. There's
'Cause
enough
I
money
think
to
I
cover
have
it.
the
Yeah.
Still $4,000 ending fund balance, I believe.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I thought that was included in the
We were
300.
talking about emergency, so I.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't specifically have that on the capital outlay fund. But it was in the grand total of that week.
Yeah, that's what I was. Oh. I was expecting to see this one way out of, because but you didn't do all the stuff you were talking about.
Right. Yeah, well,
Which one's that?
This one is 15, White tab 15, IT department.
Yeah.
probably So, yeah, when I did this, I was, I did it with the idea that I would just be maintaining what I have. I wasn't planning on adding anything on. So things like adding employees or engaging with other vendors to offset some of the workload was not in this when I did it. Which is also why I'm not expecting it to happen in this fiscal year or the next, because I understand this.
My question is, a lot of your time is spent doing the Zoom. And I don't really see that, I don't really see Zoom changing. Would it be good to hire someone
a
At a-
part-time person maybe?
at a lower salary, even, I don't want necessarily, but like an admin clerk, I'm just throwing this out. But hire somebody so that you're not pulled away to do the Zoom meetings. And then somebody that could help, even if they were full-time, but not at the same,
So,
close to your salary or anything like that. But I don't know.
so the meetings do take a significant chunk of time, especially when we have big things like these budget workshops. But they're not really what the issue is. They make the issue worse. But the real issue is that I am one person taking care of, you know, what, 115 employees. And being one person, I can only work on one thing at a time. So if I'm in Lacey's office, you know, solving some issue that the state has thrust upon her, I can't be in Lori's
And
office.
we all want him at the same time.
Yeah. It all comes at the same
Right
time.
now.
So,
Yeah.
Yours is always more important.
well, of course, you're top priority. Everybody is top priority.
So, I mean, part of it is, I think we need, one, we definitely need at least one more person.
So-
They need to be another full-time person so that we can be in two places.
And that person isn't necessarily just in admin.
It's a
clerk type.
technical
Right, they
It's
have
not.
to, it is a technical position.
Yeah,
If
So-
I don't have enough administrative work to keep
right.
someone busy.
You need somebody that can help
Okay,
with
so
IT work.
this is my
Exactly.
thought. We have that 1.3 million that's going to be coming for the next couple years.
Okay,
Okay, so
1.3 million for the CARES
yes,
for
but
the next couple of years.
yeah, it has December of 2024, not each year. We're not getting it each
Yeah, like
year. That's,
Oh, I thought that's what you were
This year
saying.
and
No.
half of it next year.
Yeah,
To
no,
total
we-
1.3.
yeah, totals 1.3
Yeah.
over this next couple of years. So in my mind, the reason that Zoom, okay, has become so prevalent.
that doesn't actually take much skill. If I had somebody willing, I could teach. any
But where
person.
she's going is it's because of
That
Right.
CARES or COVID.
because of COVID, but we could hire a technical person. And I, again, this is just me talking because there's other people here that need to make the decision. But we can justify, and I don't know yet what their qualifications are, but it would qualify under CARES no matter what. It would have qualified under the other CARES too, if we had really thought about it.
Yeah, I mean. you can-
But
you can
hire
just-
a technical person that could be your assistant. And then part of their job would be helping you with the Zoom or whatever, and then whatever else
Right,
you need.
Right.
That's just my thought process. And so you
Oh,
guys have to,
That's
to
right
think
where
about
we're
that.
going.
yeah, and the pandemic has absolutely
Oh,
increased
yeah.
my workload.
Yes, it has.
And it was realistically, it was too much for one person.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well,
Um,
and it's not just these few meetings. Actually, technically, almost all of our meetings should be on Zoom.
Or not even necessarily on Zoom itself, but the modern government agency is providing video of their public meetings
In one form or another.
in one form or another, whether it's broadcast live or
Just
it's
put on their
pre-recorded,
website. And
or it's recorded and posted. And personally, I think in a couple of months, we might be able to have this discussion. I don't think, the time is coming where we don't need Zoom. We don't need
it'll be YouTube, won't it?
yeah, we could use something like YouTube or
That's what the state's using is YouTube.
yeah, and just broadcast live.
Doesn't that get hacked?
Everything gets hacked.
Yes, students have hacked into Zoom and
Yeah,
got rid of their teachers and.
yeah, yeah. And there's no such thing as 100% secure system. The only one, the most secure system would be one that's shot to the moon on a rocket and buried in a crater under a ton of concrete.
The secure system is going back to the paper and pen.
Yeah.
And only,
Yeah.
Even that,
yeah, I know.
even that is not as, I mean, I would argue that paper and pencil is less secure than because it's easy to lose a piece of paper. But it's all about taking the right precautions and reducing your attack surface. So yeah, the time is coming where I don't think we'll be rid of Zoom, but in general, we'll actually probably shift over into Microsoft Teams, since we have that and pay for it already as part of Office 365, and it fills the same gap. The only thing we need Teams for right now is for the telephone bridge, so that people can call in and participate over a phone.
Mhm.
At the point we don't need to have remote participation, we can kick Zoom to the curb.
So my question is, as, I don't know yet, that's gonna be a grant in a sense.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. I would, before we make any kind of, I would talk to the auditor to see their direction on what they're understanding.
Whether we have to put it in the budget as such, or if it can be a
Or if
grant
we can add it.
later. But what we could look at is if it's agreeable with everybody, is to add a technical person, and Reen would need to know what kind of salary, the kind of salary. Also, what kind of equipment that individual would need. I mean, obviously, they're gonna need some things and tools, but those things I think, could easily justify paying out of those funds. And it's not gonna take a big chunk of that money, but it'll take up some. That would ease up the issue that we have. And then the other thing that you talked about was having an outside,
A managed service provider.
yeah, and I know when okay, this is back, you were at the school district after I was, but Amanda Burrows was the IT person for a long time, all by herself. Then she decided she wanted to stay home. I knew she'd be back, but anyway, she decided to stay home with her kids while they were little, and we hired,
Jessica Tarvis.
no, Oasis. We hired
Oasis.
Oasis, and they did a crappy job
They
for
did.
us.
It was
So
It was terrible. It was just horrible. They messed up the whole system and everything like that. Amanda came back and was doing it until she retired this last time. And then, of course, Jesse, went on and did it from there. But what I'm saying is these outside vendors sometimes are not cracked up. And I realize you do your homework, but I know from our personal experience at the school district,
Right.
it was a disaster.
So, and that's, I mean, when they first brought up managed service providers, it was touted as a way to completely replace your IT department, outsource it. In the years since, we have learned that that's not
It
really
doesn't
the way you
work.
want to go.
Mhm.
Because those people are great, they have the experience, they have the expertise, they don't have the familiarity with your systems. Which is why when I went over that information with you yesterday, I didn't say fire me and go with an MSP. I'm still there. I am the one in charge of managing what goes in where. But the actual execution is offloaded to someone else. So I mean, there's two ways you can have me as a worker. You can have me work in my department. You can have me work on my department. I can't do both. And things are absolutely falling behind and getting lost in the quagmire that is our technology.
So what Reen will need from you is an idea of what to put, so whether she puts it in this budget, depending on what the auditors say, or if we can just do it as a separate thing once we know more about the funding. But she needs to know what this person would cost basically, and what you would need for expenses for that person.
I will absolutely need help with that. I've never.
All you could give
been
us
on
is
the-
like a base salary, and then we'll figure the fringes and all that, because it
Yeah.
would be county-based fringes and benefits.
But what you feel
I
it
mean,
would cost to,
Yeah, 50,000 a year, 60,000 a year, I don't know what that's.
well, don't pay him more than he's making.
Yeah.
All right.
One question I have too is, I totally agree that Karis would cover this because it is, a COVID related thing. But when the money's gone in 2024,
Then,
what happens?
then what?
Because as you know now, we don't have enough in the general fund to fund that. So in 2024, does this person lose their job?
Well,
I mean, we have to think out that far to see what's gonna happen.
yeah, sustainability, and I understand that.
When's the West Coast supposed to open?
Salmon,
When's
Start
what?
production. When's West Coast?
they're gonna start
Oh.
not in 21, but 22, I thought,
So if
wasn't
they
it?
22,
start,
it
if they
sounded
start
like.
22, then we'll have the revenue. from
We'll
that
have some more,
source,
yeah.
Some revenue
So
from there.
What you could do is hire the person as a grant funded position at this time, guaranteed up to, if it's December of 2024. And then after that point, or before that point, we'll know whether we can continue them or not. But if you hire them with the stipulation that they're grant funded, then if something were to happen and we don't have the money, then, and I would hope and pray that
So-
that wouldn't be the
Yeah.
case.
And I have done research on salaries and things. So if we were to go on like the typical average salary, a technician, a full-time tier 1 technician in the private sector would be making what I make right now.
Well, this is Pershing County though.
Right, so I'm just giving you the information. My position would be typically around 130,000, all total, all the benefits and everything. It's not just my hourly take.
Yeah.
So I don't see, probably we would be looking at what my salary was when I first started.
So in the 50.
Right.
I guess a couple of things that come to mind is the NNIS guys, they do the setup and stuff. But I've known of 2 of them that are technical guys, computer guys, that kind of stuff. I mean, if they had a job at 50,000, they'd probably jump at it.
Well, I'm thinking 45 for some
Yeah,
of them.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, some of
Yeah.
them.
I
Or less.
would think it would really depend on their experience.
Yeah.
How much training am I gonna have to do to bring them up to where I need?
True.
And you will, there's no
And
doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would really like to hire people with some more specialized knowledge. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. But we need some masters. We need some people who really know like I would really love to have someone who has experience being a Windows Server administrator, specialized in that.
So would 50,000 plus benefits?
I think that would be a good.
Well, and because it's a grant, or in a sense, I mean, depends on what the auditors say, then we can look at that, when it comes time.
Right.
But if it has to go in the budget as such, then she
Right.
needs a firm figure.
I
So,
think that would be a fair place to start.
okay, so once she knows that, she'll know whether to put it in the budget or if we're just gonna do it when we have a better idea and advertise for next year.
Okay,
And then, like I said, we can do it so that that person knows their grant fund, if that they're grant funded through December of 2024, just in case, depending on what our financial situation is.
right.
And then with also whatever equipment they need or supplies, she'll need to know that.
Yeah, and we'll really need to figure out
Where,
another interim location for the IT department.
I was just gonna say that. Then we gotta figure out where to put you.
Yeah,
Okay,
'cause I don't have space for another person. in the
No, and
office.
What about?
the DA is gonna take that back. Oh,
in the annex, there is that office there. How is the internet connection?
Which, the safety office, the cemetery
Yeah.
office?
The safety office.
The safety office. I mean, we would have to get better internet in there. 'Cause it's barely supporting what.
So,
they
but
have.
that could be an NIS internet. What kind of internet could it be?
Starlink?
So, and this actually might be another.
SpaceX, I'm ready to do SpaceX.
That's Starlink.
how big is
Oh, is
space?
it?
Yeah.
Is it big enough for 2 people?
See,
No.
that's where my concern is.
Yeah,
Is
not really.
that space big enough for 2 people and my equipment?
In the
bench,
basement?
My repair bench.
Yeah.
The basement is not, the basement would require a lot of refurbishment.
It would,
Yeah.
The
yeah.
thing is they moved the health nurse out of there years ago.
Oh, and
for-
yeah.
And it hasn't
Remodel
really,
upstairs.
yeah.
There was,
There's a big
radar,
room
but we-
back there.
We
That's
did
not
that.
too bad. I mean,
Well,
something. we could
in the
look at.
basement?
Uh-huh.
Well, there's plenty of space down there. But it would require, I think, quite a bit of refurbishment to get it to where somebody could work in there.
So you need to look.
That would be
And
a
I
question for
believe
John.
that Justice, they've taken all that over for storage.
Yeah, the library has a bunch of stuff in there from when.
When we moved
Hannah-
out of there, they
moved
moved
out.
other stuff in there.
Yeah, a lot of that is being used as storage.
So what you could do is
I would
look at the
want-
office at the cemetery,
I
not,
have
yeah,
my license.
safety. Look at safety's office, have Cheryl let you into the basement and look at that. Sometimes we store things that should be just junked
Right.
or cleaned
Yeah.
up and
So
reorganized.
maybe that could be a push from above to have the offices that were storing stuff in there go through there and.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Do-
you need
do
to
some
look
spring
at it.
cleaning.
Yeah, but you need to look at it first, though, to see.
I mean, I've been in there and in that, before you go back into the
Yeah.
basement where like the furnace and all that
Yeah.
is, that space is plenty big enough. We could actually have IT offices in there. We couldn't have like a data center.
Yeah.
It's just gonna
But-
take some work to get it up to.
And that's really gonna be a question of John about getting that into a usable space.
So I think you need to have that discussion with him and maybe relook at that space with him.
And one thing we need to remember too, the first thing John wants to do.
More
is
money.
use The building.
Oh, I know, I'm
Oh, I
already there. We
know,
don't have
yeah.
money in the building
We
fund,
don't,
no.
So
I
that's
was-
his first out for
Oh, yeah.
everything is
Yeah.
the building fund.
Yeah.
And you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm sorry to be a hag and keep.
No, you're
crashing on
not.
that, but
I was
you can't
already
have
there.
Yeah.
I was already there, but I'm not sure if there aren't some other avenues too. We just need to know whether that's even gonna work.
Well, there's always a community center.
And then as far as internet service providers, it might actually be an item for a future commissioners meeting. To give me some authorization to go out and engage some of these new players in the field to see what we can do, and what we can get.
We're paying NNIS a lot of money for
We're paying
internet.
we're paying AT&T even more.
We're paying both NNIS and AT&T.
Yep.
Yeah.
In this-
because like the
building alone.
library-
And
this
AT&T doesn't give us as good a service.
So AT&T gives us the reliability, NNIS gives us the bandwidth. Neither of them give everything we need.
So when the library goes to the broadband, will we still need internet service there from NNIS and
Because we will
whatever?
be getting fiber from the school.
Okay, so that was one of my questions when we did the library budget, was I
Yes.
didn't think we needed it, but I didn't know.
And that will be, I think that's actually paid for by the state through
Yes.
the Nevada
It's through the education.
higher education
Yeah.
in NSHE.
Okay,
So I don't think the library will actually be billed for anything other than the equipment, which we've already got going, and that's being paid for by a grant.
Mhm. No, that's
Is
great.
there any
Why
space
didn't they
in the
continue
library
that to the county building?
for an office?
Not for two people like that.
They would
Um,
do it to the
could
library.
you, on the internet stuff, yeah, you need to do some research on that, but why don't you look at that facility and see if it would work. Talk to John, get some kind of ballpark figure of what he thinks it would cost and what you think you would need. And then we can talk about it some more. But right now, I think, if we can get another person for you.
I think he might actually, he was one of the people on Zoom, so he might be,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he's listening right now, but.
John, John Hanka, are you on Zoom?
Oh, yes, microphone.
He probably isn't. He was probably listening for the community center.
He's on there.
Is he?
So I don't know if he's, I don't know if he's listening right this moment, but he's logged in.
Okay, you probably walked away and left it on.
I've done it.
Yeah, me too. When I'm on some of those calls and as boring as they can be, I'm
Yeah.
going, I can be cooking dinner or something. So does that give you some direction then?
Okay,
Kristen?
yeah,
Okay. And then, yeah. And then how much is a, it's not, whatever, a provider's, what is that gonna cost?
I would have to do some research and get some plans.
Yeah.
Like, I know, because I was considering it for my house. Starlink is typically like a 6-month waiting list for their beta. Like I'm talking directly to Elon. The equipment, yeah, to get started, it's $600, and it's $100 deposit just to get on the waiting list, $600 initial, so that's the equipment.
Mhm.
So the antenna you put on your roof, and your first month of service, and then it's like $100 a month after that. Now, because their satellite constellation, the is not complete. They're
that's
constantly
outages.
launching stuff. There's possibility of reduced service and even no service. I would like to try and engage with them to see what their coverage, to see if they'll be willing to talk a little more to me as a representative of a government agency, to see if they'll tell me what kind of coverage they have for our area. Because, I mean, even at their slowest, they're gonna be faster than what we can get from anyone here. The anecdotal evidence I have is anywhere from 45 megabits per second all the way up to 150. And the best we can get without paying something like $450, $500 a month per internet service is 50.
So if we looked at getting you extra help for next year, next fiscal year, and looked at getting an offsite, person to help, what did you call it?
A managed service provider,
Okay, managed
MSP.
MSP, maybe for the year after, and I don't know money wise, I mean, I'm just saying, but it would help to have an extra person next fiscal year.
Absolutely. It would help me immensely to have
Okay.
another person.
So, I mean, that's something that
I'm
we
gonna
can
take
look
what
at.
you give me.
But, again, we've got
Right.
just one commissioner here, so, but that's my thought.
That would be fantastic. Whatever you give me, I will take. If you say I can only have a part-time person, then I will take a part-time person, but I really need.
I think we need to go for the full time and
Yeah.
like we discussed in that 50 range and then
Okay,
it's
And then-
only money, right?
We don't have.
Yeah,
yeah,
but then, we'll look at where we are for the next fiscal year too, Guy. Well, I already have some thoughts about the tax thing that you're talking about, the distribution of the tax.
I know, we just have to find out what the statute regulation.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's gonna,
Bryce is too busy right now.
yeah, he is.
And Lacey and I looked, but we couldn't find a set amount.
Do we have to put the percent in or the amount in for the cooperative extension office, the same amount that we do now?
That's a statutory.
Oh, it's a statutory amount.
Because we do renew that resolution.
Yeah.
Every year.
But why do we have to do the resolution if it's a statutory amount?
Because that's what the statute.
Statutory says, that's what the NRS says. Oh, yeah.
so, yeah, and then the other, hiring an MSP, I'll need to sit down and talk to Bryce about compliance, because there would be compliance concerns for both him and the justice court and the sheriff's office.
Yeah, but we've got time.
Yes.
So on your budget, for your budget, your expenditures and stuff,
Mhm.
are you okay with what you have down here? Because if you have another person, their other expenses will be off of that other money.
I'm thinking if we're gonna have to add a person, it's gonna be in this department
Okay,
with another salary and benefit
Mhm.
line that specifically says CARES, whatever that.
it's
is.
American Recovery Act or something like
Right.
that, yeah.
And then their expenses would be American Recovery expenses.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to have, in two different areas so that.
Yeah, and that's fine.
So you don't really know yet, or you haven't deciphered yet, what's the stipulations for the 1.3?
They don't know
Received
yet.
that?
NACO gave like kind of a brief,
Yeah, they did.
It's
But
brief.
but they're not totally sure.
They're not even sure.
No.
Until the treasurer comes
They
out with
haven't,
those
yeah.
specific
Yeah.
criteria.
But I'm thinking that more than likely it would qualify, but until they do,
How much money's left in this round?
there's not a lot because we have some projects that haven't been completed yet, but I can look at that. with
But for the
Lee,
most
too.
part, it's all spent.
Well, it has to be spent before June 30th anyway.
Yeah.
Technically it is.
Len, for as far as like small equipment for a new employee, I think a lot of the start off stuff, like, a computer for them.
The testing equipment and stuff that you do.
Well, like a lot of our, well, no, I don't want to really share tools. What if we have to go out at the same time? One of us has all the
No, you can't
tools.
share. You have to
Yeah,
have your
we
own
have to-
You
set.
need to have.
Your
Um,
Surface Pro computer, all those things that you
Yeah.
needed, plus probably more,
But I mean, a lot of that is a one-time expense.
but you still
That
need to
could-
put it in next year's budget.
Right. So I think probably the easiest thing to do would be for me to get with John, see what it's gonna take to get office space in the annex building up to snuff. And then do some math myself to get all the equipment costs.
Reen doesn't have a lot of time on the budget.
Right.
So,
And I have a doctor's appointment Monday.
well, I
Um,
think that next
what-
week is still fine, isn't it? Or,
Yeah, I have a couple things next
Well-
week where I'm gonna be out half days. too.
You said you're pretty confident you're gonna have to have at least 2 more meetings with the sheriff.
One's gonna be Monday afternoon on this agenda or this schedule already, because we have
Okay.
opening. But I'm guessing we'll have to have one more final one after I get the tax.
but you don't have to meet with us.
For
You
that-
just need to give the figures to Reen.
Okay,
And then when we meet again, we can look at it, but you just need to give her the figures. Because we're not really having an issue with it. I don't think.
since we have to have a special meeting Wednesday, could we add an item onto that? And then if we don't need to do it, we just say, okay, we didn't need to do this.
What would you add to it? About hiring a person? Because we
To
don't,
get this information.
no, because
Okay.
actually it's part of the
Okay.
budget. Yeah, so you don't need to do that.
No, I will get it to you as soon as I possibly can.
You don't have to do it by 5 today.
It's not, yeah, it's not gonna, I think even if John called me right this instant with an amount, I wouldn't be able to get.
I'm free
everything
Saturday
else.
night at midnight. in my office.
I will, as soon as I possibly can, I will get you that.
But she's not gonna unlock the door and take you in.
Oh, that's
You have to
okay.
know
I
the
don't-
password.
Oh, that's one building that I don't worry about having access to.
No, you just need to get the figures to her.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
Okay,
And you
Okay.
could probably get him there before the sheriff will get his there.
Justin, before I forget, do you have an update on Sarah's computer?
So I'm waiting on Dell. That we have to replace the main board on it. And they sent the part to their tech to dispatch, but the outsourced company that they use to dispatch out of Reno is short-staffed and is having trouble getting someone to send out to us. And I told them, you could just send it to me.
Yeah.
I can do it, but that would probably affect the warranty, because I'm not a Dell
Ordered
certified
Sarah a
tech.
new computer and the new computer had issues before he even got it to us.
Yes, it happens.
It must have been built on a Monday.
I have a portable hard drive that I plugged it in and it's completely broken. So stuff happens. You know,
Okay,
that's why we have warranties.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So where do you want to go now, Reen?
Let's go on to tab 13, the recreation. Just trying to catch the oddball ones. here.
Is that the one we're gonna pay for the pool?
Yep.
Oh,
Well, and I've had a couple conversations with Terry because she called me right away when she found out.
That's what it was gonna cost.
Yeah,
And how little was going to be paid towards it?
and we had, and I don't think I made a copy of this, she had put in an estimation of reserve for future use in the amount of 150,000, not knowing what could be used this year and what could be next year.
Mhm.
So that little bit of cushion, I think, is going to help them to get started with the pool, and possibly maybe it'll get split invoice in 2 different years. That would really help. And she was going to start working on all that with her board and special meetings and all that. I did send her this, what I was going to present to you guys, and she had no problems with it.
Okay, great.
And we have the rec board has a special meeting. For the evening of the 24th.
So I'm sorry, what tab am I?
color 13.
Oh, color.
Yeah.
That's what my problem is.
And on the revenue, I estimated a little bit for gymnastics, and after I did that, I don't really know if we're gonna be having gymnastics. Stuff.
I haven't heard anything.
It's probably better to
Really
leave it
close to the
in,
end of the school year.
just in
Because
case.
baseball and softball are starting and they're actually, Little League's gonna play, so. It's probably not a great time to do gymnastics.
And pretty much just for the,
It's
it's
just-
just elementary school.
Yeah.
And Terry is very savvy and aware of if they're gonna spend a lot of money in the pool, then other things will have to get put off. So I'm not really concerned because she understands all that. and will recommend what she thinks.
Well, she's got a good background.
We also don't have, they're not gonna do any races this year. So
I think she said that was about 13,000.
Yeah. that was, they were giving 13,000 each year. So.
I don't know if you want to keep going on and look at the 911 surcharge, that's tab 18. That one's pretty minimal too, because the revenues have increased for that, but still not a real strong fund balance.
So I'm sorry, which one is that?
18. Multicolor 18.
If I, sometimes you say the number and my brain is not listening because I'm looking at something. And I know it. Are we receiving that dollar now from everybody? That extra money, hopefully?
As far as I can tell.
Yeah, for a long time, we were allowed to charge what, an extra dollar, was it? I can't remember now.
It was 50 and it went up to $1.
Yeah, anyway, we were allowed to charge extra on the 911 surcharge, and a lot of the vendors, it took them forever to put it into effect.
Well, in 19, we only got like 18,000 in revenue, and last year we got in almost 46,000.
Yeah,
So it
which is-
did increase quite a
Yeah,
bit.
which is great because that helps.
I don't get a paper bill, so I still never checked to see what mine is.
I know I don't get my, it comes online and I just.
Yeah.
Well, I look at mine every once in a while because I'm looking to see, how can I cut this bill? What can I get rid of?
But I have 5 phones on mine.
That's because you have.
2 kids and a grandma.
Oh, the grandma's on it too. I was wondering who the fifth one is.
Yeah.
Capital. So what do they buy with the the capital outlay with the 911 funds? They don't use it towards the dispatch console, do they? Why don't they?
Part of the phone and fax is that, and the monthly fee that the dispatch, I think it's the sheriff's office, they pay like $1,878 a month.
Mhm.
Let me look up the capital outlay.
Because there's, well, they've spent 5,800 this
Right.
year, but we have budgeted 25. Hey Heidi,
How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Did you listen in on the WNDD resiliency something or whatever? I signed up for something, but of course I'm in meetings, so I didn't.
You know what, I think that's tomorrow morning.
Is that tomorrow? Okay.
Yes, yes, I am gonna listen to it from home. I have another appointment at 11, so. I just gonna listen to it while I'm driving.
Let me tell you, I'm thankful for you because you listened into them when I can't.
Carol, that was for the sheriff dispatch for the Sun Rims. It's like software.
Oh.
That's what that 5,000, it must be an annual fee.
I was just wondering if any of it could be used towards helping
It's
us pay for the console.
Emergency 911 interface annual support. It says.
You might as well take the hot seat, Heidi.
Yeah.
Okay, she's back at white tab 1-46.
This is a relic.
Yeah,
Have fun.
found that in my folder.
I know. You've noticed it being on, huh?
I'm afraid so.
It's nice that the city provides your phone.
Yes, so basically all the utilities are covered by the city, so that is a nice little cost savings. I do have to pay them rent. I don't remember what it was. It was
It's either $1 a month
or something silly. I think I was able to find it in my couch cushions.
They have to send a bill. I don't know if they send it.
I think they do, and I think I sent it over to Reen or someone the last time.
I don't see anything, but I have a question.
Yeah.
Is this where we would pay for whatever our dues are? No, it's in the
It's
general.
1-43 for non-development is where those dues are paid for development.
Like WNDP and so forth.
And we budget 14,000, and what was the WNDP term was 5,000. This is where we used to pay the Chamber of Commerce annual dues also.
So you've got that covered in there for the tri-county. Or
Well,
not
it's gonna
tri-county.
be us in Humboldt County,
Uh-huh.
and Jan and I are working on that process, and we start team meeting between the two counties next week. And no, we don't think that we need to pay ourselves dues and, you know,
Okay.
like all these other things that we were trying to do. We want to be able to have boots on the ground and work with the money that we're given. Chances are it'll be similar to how Highway 95 was, where we might not be spending that money out on marketing or this and that and the other. We might be then reverting it back to salary. I don't know, it depends, you know, I mean, but I do want to work on like a marketing program for the public teen track and our rail accessibility out at the industrial park. So those funds could be used towards that. I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay. I don't see anything that needs to be.
No, and I don't know, I am meeting Jan at Star Point for lunch. You know, I've met her like 3 times in the past month. It's a nice halfway spot for both of us, and so that might be, you know, a little bit of gas coming out of, you know, that, since gas prices have gone up. It used to not bother me, and now it's starting to kick me off. So, anyways.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is that if without this grant money, I don't have enough money in my budget for printing supplies. So
Printing supplies?
I have a printer and I try not. I could use the city's copy machine if I needed to, but I try not to. I don't want to use that relationship. So I make sure I have ink for my own printer and so forth, but it's too expensive to do on this budget. There's no way. It's about $2,000 a year, I think. Well, maybe not that much. I have a good supply right now, but I can't buy that supply without grant funds.
So the printer that you have, do you need a different printer or?
No, it's a brand new printer. It does well.
You just need the
I just have to be
cartridge
able to
and
put ink
paper
in
and
it.
stuff?
Mhm. No, I get paper from the county, so that's not a problem, but I need to be able to keep it full of ink, and ink is expensive.
Yeah.
And so I have, like I said, I have a good,
But you,
Do like a lot of marketing materials?
no, I try not to do that, you know, and if it is, when I was at the community center, if there was a lot to do, then I would just, you know, make one copy, go over the copy machine and do that, but I don't know that I have that access to the community center's copy machine anymore. So
so now's the time. I mean, we can add something in here that would help with that?
I have plenty for probably this next fiscal year. I'm just saying that I might not in the future.
Okay.
So,
As long
it's
as
just
you're going to be
something to
okay
feel-
for
yeah.
next year, that's.
yeah,
what
right
I'm
now I'm
concerned.
fine. I'm just letting you know, as this budget does not cover ink.
The salmon farm, are they going to be operational next fiscal year sometime?
So they are going to start pulling building permits this year, probably May, June-ish. They'll start pulling permits.
Mhm.
They will drop eggs in the tanks late 3rd quarter next year. 2 years later, those fish will be processed. So yeah, we're full steam ahead. Ralph Runge, the project manager, will be back out beginning of April. I do expect him to become a Nevada resident here pretty soon, April, May-ish, and they're moving forward, so.
He said in April.
They're still on that timeframe.
Yeah.
So all's going well with that.
The gentleman that has the soy plant, Bob,
I know him and I've talked to him several times, and
he's about the fish food.
it's, yeah, and and that's fine. Anybody that asks and wants to be put in front of the salmon farm needs to do it through me.
Yeah,
And I've been doing that with a lot of different entities such as Darren Lloyd, Bob Winkle for Nevada Soy. The other one would be Seven Drops Distillery, with spent grains. Burroughs Farms is interested in the fish sludge. Winnemucca Farms is interested in fish sludge. If anyone needs fish fertilizer, let me know.
I've got some in my pond. But, okay,
So, yeah, so.
I just want to make sure, so. yeah.
Absolutely. So right now, we're just, myself and Jan are acting as the conduit so that Ralph does not get bombarded by all these weird requests.
Yeah.
That was a nice way of putting it.
I want to go back to this ink thing.
Yes, sir.
You say there's no money in the budget to pay for ink?
Because for me, when I stocked up, I got a little chunk of money last whatever.
From
Yeah.
the Highway 95 grant.
And so I used, from the Highway 95 grant. And so I was able to spend, I don't remember, it might've been $1,500 to stock myself up. I was
Yeah.
just guessing on what I would need for a year because I knew this current year's budget, $1,500 in ink was not in that budget. So I am stocked up. I'm just saying that
Oh, you are stocked up?
I am, but I'm just saying that this budget will not cover, and if I had to do it, if I did not have grant funds, I don't have enough money in this budget.
But we
to
can
keep
look
up
at
with
that
supplies.
next fiscal year,
Mhm.
because
I
right
think
now
what
you're
she's saying
okay.
is for 2023 budget.
Yeah.
She's gonna need to add
Yeah,
that to this.
okay, so
Yes.
you're okay for now?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm fine for now, or else I would have put it in there, but I'm just letting you know that this is a very skimpy budget. And when people ask, oh, what's your budget? I'm like, I don't have enough to cover office supplies. I don't have very much in this budget to play with. So, fortunately, ink is probably the biggest expense that I have in office supplies. I don't really need Post-its and other stuff.
Well, and we can look at it next budget.
Yeah.
Cycle.
So I just want you to know this is a very bare bones and.
Oh, yeah, I can tell. It's very bare bones compared to some of the other ones. Is that it? Are you just this one? The city contributes 7,500, is that right, or 7,000? 7,000 towards the economic.
Which I have to send them an invoice because they won't just pay us.
Yeah,
I usually try to do that in May.
but then they are providing the office space and other assistance.
Yeah, and then it's been very convenient to use their conference rooms, either the little training room that they have as well as their council chambers for meetings. And I'm really gonna start enjoying the interactive video part of that. So it's convenient. I
Yeah.
enjoy that. I still have full access to you guys as well as to the middle of town. But then it's easy access to the mayor and talking about, some of those projects, as well as the water district. Oh, I catch Rusty all the time coming in and out. And I'm like, Rusty, I got a water question.
Mhm.
I love the convenience.
Okay, awesome. Looks good to me.
And what vehicle expense? You only got $50 in there. Is that, you don't need anything else?
$50.
You had a $500 budget. You haven't spent much.
No, I was gonna actually, like I said, I've been meeting Jan halfway. So I was gonna submit a voucher just to cover some of the expenses,
So we don't need to bump that up some for this year.
maybe to $100, and that's.
Well,
probably good.
actually, it should be under travel if it's
Oh,
through
travel?
mileage. Because right now there's nothing under.
Oh, yeah, so I said I was gonna,
You don't have anything under
I didn't put
travel?
anything under travel.
So what do you want to put under travel?
Can we
4
put
more
two-
months.
Can we put, 4 more months? Can we put $300 there and then I'll just,
So we'll put 4,
okay.
okay? Because you're still not over your budget
Yeah.
or anything.
Right, and like I said, I'm not going anywhere, but meeting Jan is, a
But you
little bit of a
use your
jaunt.
car a lot.
I
so-
am, and yeah, I have been.
fuel
There's not
expensive.
going other way. I'm not going to Reno for meetings or anything anymore like I used to. So there's really, it's just going to be
Well, when
jammed.
gas hits $5 a
Yeah,
gallon.
pretty close.
Funny, I know. Okay, good job.
Great, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
We will, you too. Okay, Reed, where do you want to go?
Well, let's stay towards the back where we're at
Okay.
right now
Okay.
and go on to the next tab, which is, well, the
Um,
city of Lovelock is 1-45, and that's just the quarterly amounts that were agreed upon in the local agreement. For a total of 127,942.
I'm in the wrong spot. I know it.
In the back.
White.
It's white. I thought it was in the back and I,
1-45.
White 45.
because there wasn't a 45 in the other one.
It should say city of Lovelock.
Okay, there it is, right there, one little line.
And then we did the 46 with Heidi. The next one would be 1-250, which is contingency. This is strictly $100,000 set up for augmentation purposes.
For
Which
what?
is-
To augment the budgets if need be.
Which it's not a lot of money.
It's
No,
usually,
in the way we're kind of already hit a few that we're going to need to augment. I hope it's enough.
Yeah. Jeez.
And then the last tab is 1-300, and this is the transfers that are going out of the general fund to law enforcement, 11th judicial, and law library. And then there's another line item of additional transfer to law enforcement. We kind of keep that 59,714 always the same amount, and if need be, then we put it under additional transfer. So as you can see, 3.493 is scheduled hopefully to come out of the general fund this year, and then up to 3.8 for next year. Again, if our revenues for tax come in to be at least what they are this year that I've estimated.
Okey-dokey. So where do you want to go now?
I don't know, do you want to look over like the emergency management grants and other county
And
grants?
anything you want to go to, let's
Okay,
get them done.
1-38,
38.
1-38. And this one is all of the emergency management grants. And I need to get with Sharon because we have not received any money in at all for the CERT grant or any of the EMPG grant. I don't know if those, I thought they were awarded, but we've not got any revenues in at all. And then the assistance to firefighters is also in that area. We've spent $3,375, but there's been no money coming on that either.
Is that the one that Heidemann did the grant for?
It's, yeah, and he, last I heard, he was doing a change because Rodney had bought some kind of books for training stuff. But that's not what the grant was written for. So he was gonna try to do a grant change, and that's the last I heard.
Did we ever get any money from any of the grants that Heidemann wrote? There was
the one
one,
that you finished.
yeah, and I'm not sure, you said the
There
one,
was the Bright Patch one that he started, and they spent the money last year, but we didn't get that revenue in until this year.
but was that pool pack money?
Right.
See, that's a pool pack grant, but was there any other grants that he wrote? Because he was doing.
Just
the-
this AFG grant. so
Yeah,
that
and so
I've heard
we're
of.
paying him $6,000 a year. And he was,
I have no other copies of any grants, and I'm supposed to get them, when the applications go on.
yeah, but he hasn't done any. And we really need to look at that. And we need to, I don't know if you want to put it on the next agenda and just have him account, because he should be back, account for his
I don't
time.
know if Rodney came back today or yesterday, but I don't know about that.
So
Yeah,
he can attend via Zoom. Correct?
yeah, I can be.
It
a
was on the
Zoom.
poll yesterday, or
Yeah.
whatever day it was.
But I'm thinking that we need to have him, maybe the next meeting, have
Yeah,
him
maybe.
account for what he's been doing that we're paying him for. And make a decision not to continue if that's,
Let's have an
Let's do-
accountant.
yeah.
Yeah. If he's not doing the job he's paid for, we probably
Yeah.
should put that back into the general fund
Well, and we can use it, yeah,
somewhere else.
sure.
Or you can give it to somebody else that'll do it.
Yeah. But this is the, oh, anyway. So did, you got that, Karen? Or, okay. Thank you.
So the next one is other county grants, just the next tab 1-39. And this is the one for the Child Support United Way. And then, of course, the Highway 95 is no longer there, but the history is here. And then the capital outlay is for certain things of child support that are 100% covered. And Liz usually sends those in quarterly to get reimbursed for. The next one is 1-40, the WIC grant. And I know that my projections are not what the true activity is right now, but I put the same projection expense and same projection revenue in, so it's a zero effect. And then we don't budget for anything for next year until she gets the grant. Airport, John will talk about on Monday. So the only other grant is 1-44, which is the Family Resource Center. And it's kind of the same manner as WIC.
So if that's it on the white ones, isn't
That's
it?
pretty much it.
So do you want to go to some of the color, are there any colored ones we can do?
Let's see. We could go to option tax, PILT, and the building fund.
Yeah, I see, which is,
Town of Italy too.
yeah. So give me a number of what I'm looking for. I know which one to go
They're
to.
the colored tabs.
Yeah,
Are you looking for option?
it doesn't matter, just tell me what
One.
you want to do. So I can get their dispatchers, jail. There's oh, no, we did that one. Option tax, yeah, okay, I'm there. So that's 20, it's number 20. Yes, number 20.
So I know that the sheriff is still out a jail vehicle that's in this current year's budget, and he was holding off on it. Kind of per the DA's request, not knowing litigation amounts and stuff.
Mhm.
And I asked him to check with Bryce because I think the litigation expense we were anticipating has been paid.
Ah, but why would we be worried about that out of here?
Just because Bryce told him that he should be cautious and not spend anymore.
Oh,
And granted, it wouldn't have been paid out of here.
no. So he's gonna go forward with that, get that?
That's what he said today. He was gonna start, he hoped to be able to get it before the end of June.
Yeah.
So we have the annual fire truck payments that we've made. You know, that's calculated for next year too.
74,000. That one,
Yeah, that's just the
that's just the
principal.
principal.
And then the interest is the
10
14.
to 14. Yeah.
So every year it's about 88,271 to 88,272, 73.
How many more years do we have on it? Was it for 8 years or
It's for
10,
10.
10 years?
Yeah.
I'd say we're almost halfway. I can't remember. I have to look at.
I
this
think so,
sheet.
too.
It sounds about
Yeah.
right. Okay,
You know, wait a minute. We're either gonna talk about this one now, or we can talk about it tomorrow for Right Patch. We were going to build a building at Right Patch. We were going to use 100,000 out of the option tax, and there's 100,000 in the building fund. I don't know that we're gonna build that building.
You don't
And
know.
I say that for two reasons. One is because of the budget issue. I mean, that's probably the top. But also, we have an issue, almost a problem at Right Patch Fire. As far as not responding to calls. We thought we addressed that in a meeting we had with the DA, where they were, not responding to calls. We, Lovelock Fire Department, offered them help in training, the whole ball of wax, and they don't take advantage of that. We had that meeting a couple weeks ago in the DA's conference room. The Right Patch Fire Chief was there. She knew why she was there, because of non-response for calls. By the time she got home, she had passed word to somebody else that, how do I clean this up? Somebody else that is an occasional member of their fire department. Let's put it that way. They put it on
Yes,
Facebook
there was. not
that we
nice
were
things said
shutting
about
down the
Facebook.
Right Patch
is
Fire
that why I
Department.
got a message to call somebody?
Oh, probably.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I
they were
didn't.
I
talking
did
about
several, but
Closed door deals or.
Yeah,
meetings
right,
that the county
exactly.
was having.
it was Stacy's mother is what it was.
Oh, consider the source.
So anyway, so there's several issues there. One of the things for adding bays onto the existing building was because they didn't have space to park vehicles inside. They have one building or one vehicle parked outside now. The dead battery. I mean, it's got, Rodney and I went out and looked at it. It's got several issues. Inside of the building is a vehicle that they use for their EMS response. That was to have been transferred to the new fire command, vehicle. They haven't done that. So
And the new truck sits at Stacy's house, right?
is it Stacy? But she's still the fire chief.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
How
part's,
many members do they actually have?
I think 8,
And
and that's,
Part-time members or full-time?
they're volunteers.
oh, there's no volunteers. I mean, they're no full-time, they're all volunteers.
No, I know they're all volunteers.
How often do they participate?
Exactly, that's what that's.
Do you
that's
mean
the
how
way
many
it's-
show up for a
Yes,
call?
yes.
0.
If they show up, they probably have 4 or 5.
So, and they're content with leaving the fire chief in charge that they have?
They don't have
'Cause-
anybody else.
They don't have any choice.
They don't have a choice. There's nobody else.
That will step forward?
Yeah. There isn't.
I
So-
will also add to that there's been some voucher questions. and
Yes, there
some
has
late
been.
vouchers
She didn't even do her own budget.
No, I did,
Yeah,
because I couldn't wait anymore.
Yeah.
But I received a call about a week ago from who's the lady that worked at the city? Very tall.
Oh, Sandy.
Sandy,
Houston,
Rachel
yeah.
Cleanan, and Lori Rose were doing an audit for the fire department, and they wanted a set of bylaws, because they thought they'd be recorded in our office.
Oh, yeah, price action.
Well, they're not recorded in our office, so I referred them to the DA's office, because I figured Bryce would be the one to have that.
they were
There's
trying to do
been-
their own bylaws. Is that what that was?
Well, I think they adopted, I think there are some bylaws for volunteer fire departments. I'm assuming they all 4 departments adopted them, but I don't know that for
Probably
sure.
is. But
But
they
I
were
know
trying to
that-
redo theirs or
They were
something?
doing an audit,
Yeah.
so they just wanted to
Because-
look at them.
We know a couple things. They used to buy all their fuel at the bingo truck stop, and then after a month's time, they would turn those into the county for reimbursement.
Yeah.
We haven't been doing it. We haven't seen a voucher for any of that.
So they haven't been using
So are they
vehicles.
paying for it do they have their own checking account at Red Patch?
I don't think so, no.
Or their own?
Well, they've done fundraising because they've had fundraisers at is it Oasis, the pizza place?
Gold
And
diggers.
Gold Digger, sorry.
Yeah.
So
Gold
see, that
Diggers.
money isn't coming in.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't seen anything lately, but in years past, yes, because I even was at one, so they probably have their own checking account.
And they may.
But
So-
I can just say the county has not reimbursed Red Patch Fire Department for fuel in a long time.
Oh,
And we can't until we have those receipts.
oh, you have to have receipts,
So if they don't have the receipts, they don't. get
or they
reimbursed.
haven't been using the vehicle.
One of the
It's
two,
responding.
you're right.
And
So,
one
I
of
mean-
those vehicles is a brand new, well, the new one, we have new fire trucks for everybody. And then the command vehicle too,
We have the command vehicle and we have the tender.
yeah,
That's one of the ones we're still paying for.
yes, yes.
And it's a good vehicle. It's,
No, That's what I meant.
I know. I had to bring it up because everybody needed to know what's going on. I have no idea if they're gonna pull it out and make it work. But I think because of our budget issue, I don't think or we even need to be looking at a building.
Just kind of put it on hold for now.
Yeah.
That's what you think.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, we had bids and everything, out of the two, it was, we have $200,000. The bid for everything was like 250. So what I really think we need to do is have, I don't know if you want to call it a workshop, but a meeting at the Right Patch Firehouse. We've done it before. What I would like for the commissioners to see is the condition of both sections of that building. It's an eye opener.
Is it worse than it was before?
No, but it's not any better.
Okay.
I mean, if you walk into where the fire, the truck bays are, turn the lights on, you gotta open the door to see. You can't do it.
So what would the alternative be if we had a community meeting, because it would be a meeting for everybody?
You're gonna
Is-
get some backlash on, we're trying to close this down.
So, I mean, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Do we close up that fire department if they're not doing their job?
And I don't think we're there yet, but the other fire departments are gonna have a say in that. Because as it has been, Lovelock is responding to Right Patch and Emily is responding to Right Patch.
And if that's the case,
If it keeps up,
what, we move the trucks and stuff.
yep, that's Rodney and I have talked about that. Not a good scenario.
What, if you can say, what was her excuse for not getting stuff done or not responding to calls and stuff?
Nobody was available. It was during the day, everybody was at work.
She works in town, so you'd think,
I don't, where does she work now?
for Nevada.
I think she's up at the
Boulder.
mine, yeah.
She works in the office. Well, she's the safety person.
Back and
whatever,
forth.
But she's in the office,
Yeah.
across from the old Sisters,
Mhm,
that
yeah.
office right there.
You know what I know now? I just, I look at that inside of that building and Rodney and I were in there a couple weeks ago and it's not your typical, what you would view as a fire department, even a volunteer fire department. If you look at this one here, if you look at Grass Valley is the ideal candidate. This one's sad too.
Well, thanks for the update.
Yeah.
So do we do 21? Or do you want to talk about the options tax anymore? Or there's only so much that comes in and
Right, and it's, got a pretty healthy income balance, but I really need to hold that resolution because I believe in 2022, it was written to purchase an ambulance out of the.
We
option
changed
tax.
it. That only if they needed the money to shore up the ambulance fund.
Well, and when they come Monday for the ambulance fund, it is in the negative.
It is.
Because they put in 185 for.
And because they're not billing. That's the
And I did,
biggest.
they also put in for all those paid workers and I didn't put it in. And I'll explain to them, they would have been 900,000 in the negative. if I would have put that in. So yeah, we can go on to the next one, which is pill. And at lunch, I was kind of thinking that maybe I should budget just a little bit more. If you look for revenues, we got 1.137 in 2019, 1.195 last year. I mean, it would only add maybe 100,000, but
it would help.
it would help.
Are you thinking like 1.25 maybe, or just 1.2?
I could do that, maybe 1.2 in each year.
Mhm,
Is
yeah,
that what you guys think too?
I would just do 1.1.
One on each one of them,
1.1 would be the highest I would go.
just in case, huh?
Yeah.
And then the next page is the transfers, what goes to the general fund. And by just increasing that 200,000, then I could put 200,000 more to the general fund and more to law enforcement. It's not gonna solve the problem,
But it'll help a little.
next one is the building fund. And I believe I gave you a copy of what our meeting. And I have to break it out between equipment, land improvements, software. That's what all the little handwritten abbreviations are.
have we heard anything about the windmill property?
About what?
The windmill property,
Like what?
like Seven Troughs supposedly was interested in purchasing it, but there hasn't been anything. I mean, I haven't asked Bryce.
They didn't show up to bid for one,
Well, yeah, but yeah.
and Bryce has had a couple of conversations. with him. My take on that is we just bought a piece of property to build a jail.
Mhm.
Why would we want to give it away?
Well, what's what I was asking too, and are they still interested or not? We don't know, okay.
Well, I have an email from Heidi, but and she goes on and on about jobs, that kind of stuff, and
Well,
I still have to go back to the same thing. We bought a piece of property to build a jail on. That's ideal for where we're at. We're gonna go abandon the idea of building a jail, or are we gonna go find another place? Or do we build it where we just bought it to build it?
so since you had a meeting with the architects and the sheriff and you, so when you design, when you're looking at it, you're looking at the windmill property for what, the whole thing, or?
Oh, yeah.
No, so what about across the street then?
Well, the street included was for the Sally Port.
Mhm.
And across the street, the first one will be parking, not only for sheriff's vehicles, but also for public vehicles.
So it would be parking there, and then the old building would still be there,
No
but
building, we
whatever.
still someday have to figure out what to do. with it.
Okay.
I think we should remodel it and put
IT.
IT in there, but then I keep getting response back that just, tear it down. Even the architect the other day said, tear it down and put up a metal building. Yeah,
Well,
you might be right.
tear it down and put up a building that has everything that IT would need and everything else that we would.
Yeah.
would want.
What the comment was, that it's probably cheaper to do that than it is to try to remodel the old.
I was thinking that same thing, because like in here, the walls are actually concrete, metal plate concrete. And I don't see why that wouldn't be the same in that building, especially since it has to be more secure.
Oh, I think you're right.
And trying to get, I mean, there would have to be, to put like a server farm in
Yeah.
there. There would be a lot of having to drill through that to be able to.
But you could make it work.
Could make it, work, absolutely.
Money
Why
can,
do
money
you
can make anything work.
That's right. The architects, and we all took a tour of the existing jail, and we're back in there, and these guys are just cringing. They couldn't believe what they were seeing.
So Reen, on the building fund, you didn't put the marijuana money in for next year? Or is that because you're being cautious?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't budget for it this year either, Carol.
You just put it in later,
When we
okay.
receive it, then it's just added revenue. Because I don't know, how many years are we supposed to get that? See, that's the part of.
I don't know either. I don't know if it's forever or if there was a,
The limit on it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure either.
I just was excited that we got anything from it. And net proceeds is what goes in here, and that's what we don't get much of.
Right. In
And
2019, we got 106,000. Last year, we got just barely under 47,000.
yeah. And with all the construction, everything going on, I doubt that we're gonna get much.
Well, and we changed that calculation to in net proceeds for more of it to go to the general fund because of shortfall there several years ago.
It'd be nice if it could all go, all the net proceeds would go in the building fund. Then we wouldn't have anything in the general fund. I know.
I don't know that we really need to go to regional streets because Lacey and I are gonna get together on those amounts that they discussed yesterday, so it's gonna vary just a little bit. This is just my rough draft before the meeting yesterday.
You know what I found interesting about that meeting? So we have the county, which is, I don't know what the percentage is, but 80–90% of the streets are county. And then you have the city of Lovelock. In the past years, county has always been about the same thing in the $400,000 range. And the city has always been in $100 and some thousand.
They never requested anything.
Yeah, and you're right, yeah. But
We
even
have
when they
gotten
did have
in
it, they
trouble.
didn't spend it.
That's why we've gotten in trouble from the auditors because the city hasn't spent money.
Yeah.
So they needed to put it in for us.
Yeah.
So reading on the capital projects list, you have like BI and E and LI, and I'm sorry.
Right, it's just my abbreviations, like BI is building improvements.
Oh, okay, got it.
LI
Okay.
is land
Okay,
improvements, E is equipment,
Okay.
because that's how it's categorized over here. for
I just
the
didn't figure
different
out.
account numbers.
Okay.
So-
Just my little cheat sheet. notes.
Lacey, where I was going with that was, so then this meeting, then they come in with like almost
I'm
$900,000.
still not confident that they'll get that fit done, but
I'm not confident they'll get $200,000.
I know.
Yeah. I just found it quite different.
Okay, so we'll do ambulance fund, whatever,
Monday.
Monday. And then, oh, the sheriff does forensic services.
No,
right?
forensic is, we can do that one. That's all done strictly by journal entry. yearly. And it's looking at what the sheriff has spent plus what the other, I think it's justice court has spent. And it's just allocating their expenses back over here against this fund.
Okay,
So it's a very small budget. I don't know how much longer you want to stay, but there's like the Pershing County Electrical Utility, which is multicolored 44. And then County Emily after that, and then TV and weed, and that would pretty much take us to
I'm okay.
Where's the electric? Is it? Oh, right here.
44,
44.
purple is my color. Uh, That doesn't look too bad. Got a better ending balance than. We could spend it all real quick if we had to fix something.
I
up.
think that's called a maintenance fund.
Mhm. I don't know why in the world the county ever got in the electrical business.
Oh, I could tell you, believe me. but
Yeah, I heard part of the story, but I don't know if I have all of it.
Were they trying for Turtle County telephone system?
No. It was when Rye Patch went in and
When the Rye Patch Estates.
Humboldt
Yeah,
River.
some of the residents that were within some electrical would have certain, like the ABC, TV. Yeah, the room was full, and we swore that we were going to get 2,800 customers if the county would do the bond and put in the electrical. And how many do we have? 10?
We have 16 customers.
Yes.
It was to make it less expensive for them to have their electricity.
Well, because they couldn't individually, I wasn't here yet, but afford to do it themselves. And then how many of them do we still have not paid? A lot.
A lot.
Should have been put back onto the developer.
It should have. Yes,
The electrical,
yes,
not the county.
that's right.
You know, there's two electric systems out there. There's NB Energy and there's our system.
Yes.
Our system is a much better system than NB Energy's system. But we couldn't convince. A lot of it had to do with the hydro project. They were ready to buy our system. And then issues came up anyway, that didn't work. But we tried to convince them to buy our system. And the lawyers didn't agree.
So the next one is Town and Emily, and that's a pretty small budget. Do we have much activity going on out there?
Nothing,
Nothing.
nothing.
Well, and they don't have a board, so there's
No.
no to spend the money.
No.
All they have is mosquitoes. Just ask them.
So you just put numbers in there to.
Yeah, I just pretty much left it the same.
Yeah, which is fine, because it's just if we had to spend it, it's there, but we don't.
We did Emily Utilities yesterday with James, so TV district would be number 51. the next one. And I think that was pretty much the same too. Looks like there's a couple, maybe the power bill needs to be increased a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
You know, the only thing I see changing there, a possibility is the contract payments. Because we have no idea what's gonna go on there. There's, with the person we have contracted to do our, maintenance that lives in Fallon. He's getting up there in age and he wants to retire, but he hasn't given us a date to retire. So at that point, we'd have to find somebody else.
Do you think that'll happen before June 30th?
Did what?
That won't happen before June 30th,
No.
though. So you've got 13,500 for.
We have no
next-
idea what's gonna happen.
Okay.
I actually went to his house last weekend to pick up. I went to his house last weekend to pick up a translator so I could put up there and change channel 8, but I can't get there from here.
Are
So
you gonna
it's not
ask, are you
fixed.
gonna ask for a helicopter now?
Or snowcat?
I'd like to have a snow cat.
Can we rent one?
Years ago, we had somebody.
I know, I remember
About it, but I don't know who it was from, and that's how they got up there.
Hawthorne has one.
I think I'll increase the contract payments maybe to 4,500 for this year. Because we're already at 2895.
Okay.
And if he makes another trip out there down the road.
It's $500 to $800 a
Right.
trip. He has one trip to make up there that's $1,000 when he can get up there. We already approved in a commission meeting, $1,000 to change some coax and do some antenna work.
On the power, will you, for this year, will you make that like 4,000 or,
I was thinking 4,500,
okay, so 4,500?
because last year that's what we spent. And then I was gonna go 4,500 under the contract payments
Yeah.
also.
Got that.
Association dues, I just got a notice from it's the Translator Association is what it is. And Shelley and I have gone to their conferences. They always move it around. And this year they, of course, like everybody else, didn't have one. So I'm gonna pay those dues this year in this budget.
And the 600 will cover it?
It will,
Okay,
for both of us.
okay. And then the weed district?
We just.
It helped by raising the weed assessment, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, the ending fund balance is growing.
But it's nice. To be able to order all of our chemicals at one time instead of ordering half of it this budget year, half the next budget year. So now we can order it all. in one year.
So I think the rest of them that are left are all one scheduled for Monday.
Okay. All right. So we've done everything that we can, right?
Well, the only thing we didn't do is we didn't look at the health one, but that's a small one. We can catch that one. Monday.
And it's,
And that's mostly state unfunded mandates anyway that I get from the state.
that we have no control. So, Justin, is there anybody on Zoom?
There's currently one person on.
Oh, are you ready to? Oh, we have to do public comment. Huh?
Yeah. If and we're ready to quit. I think we are.
Ready. I'm ready to go home.
Yeah. Okay, so public comments. I know you gotta find it. Any public comments? Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.